Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this celebration of the alumni of Mennonite Mission Network. It's absolutely wonderful that you've joined us, and we've been looking forward to this event for quite a while as we've planned it. So tonight is really going to be a celebration of all of you, a celebration that we are able to serve our Lord through Mennonite Mission Network and the wonderful many avenues that are open to us. So without further ado, first off, I'm Karen Horseman. I'm the Director of Donor Relations, and I have the great privilege of introducing Mike Sherrill, who is the Executive Director and the CEO for Mennonite Mission Network. So Mike, it's all you.
Thanks, Karen. I'm so happy to be here tonight. A warm welcome to all those tuning in tonight for the Mennonite Mission Network Alumni Celebration. Alumni are central to our past and future success in actively engaging the world with the whole gospel. So we are here this evening to celebrate you and the ways God has been and is working through you at Mission Network. Mission Network exists to equip and empower the church as we partner in God's mission across the street and around the world. With full recognition for the deep sense of pandemic loss and fatigue, we also celebrate what God is doing through mission all year long. With the commitment and participation of alumni just like you, Mission Network is currently active in 47 countries with 116 partner organizations. Straight through the pandemic, we've had 161 U.S. and international workers and participants with over 260 churches relating to Mission Network in various ways. This work we all share is impacting thousands around the world. I'm excited to be working with you, and I thank you again for being here tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Aren't those statistics something? Think of that. Think of all the people that have gone before all of us that have been involved in this work for many decades, and those that are on the field right now. No matter what, the pandemic and everything else has not stopped us. And so we are deeply thankful to God for that. So now we're going to show you a video, and you will be hearing from your fellow alumni a little bit about their experience. So please show the video.
I'm Michelle, and I served with Mennonite Voluntary Service.
I'm Malachi, and I served with Service Adventure.
We're Randy and Sherlyn, and we served with SOUP, which stands for Service Opportunities with Our Partners.
I'm Biz, and I served with Youth Venture.
I'm Ashlyn, and I served with Radical Journey, also known as Journey International.
I'm an alum of Mennonite Voluntary Service, and that makes me an alum of Mennonite Mission Network.
I am a Mennonite Mission Network alum.
We're Mennonite Mission Network alumni.
I'm a Mennonite Mission Network alum.
Whichever program we served in, we're all connected as alumni of Mennonite Mission Network, the mission agency of Mennonite Church USA.
I just love that. And the first time I saw that, it just made my heart sing, and I just got a smile on my face because you saw all different people, all different ages, all different walks of life and experiences, and there they all were. And they were joined together by being an alumnus of Mennonite Mission Network. And it's just such a wonderful thing. So this is how the rest of the evening is going to go. We are going to talk to our directors, and they're going to talk about the different programs that they oversee. And we're going to hear from some alumni, and we're just going to have a time of sharing and joy and thanksgiving, and it's just going to be good. So sit back, open your hearts and your ears, and just be joyful and celebratory as we look at all these wonderful things that God has allowed us to do and the mission that we can all be together with as we go forward. So once again, I have a wonderful pleasure tonight, and I get to introduce Will Leviste, who's the Senior Executive of Advancement for Mennonite Mission Network. So Will, you take it away.
Great. Thank you, Karen. I got to put your middle name as Karen Joy Horseman. Appreciate you. And I have the pleasure of introducing Arloa Bontrager, who's the regional co-administrator, for North America. And she's going to talk about soup. Andre, take it away, Arloa.
Thank you, Will. My middle name is actually Joy, so there you go. So yes, as Will said, I'm going to be talking about soup. About midway through the year last year, it suddenly occurred to me that 2021 was the 30th anniversary of soup. I'm going to blame this oversight on COVID distractions, but in any case, as with all milestones, it's been a great time to reflect on the legacy of soup, what soup has been about, and where we're going. Now, I get kind of excited about stats. So that's where I started with soup. I was rather amazed to learn that in the past, now 31 years, over 5,200 soup assignments have been completed, and we've connected with 143 host communities. That's well over 5,000 opportunities for relationships to develop, for mutual learning to happen, and for perspectives to shift. So I think of Mark and Jeannie Berkey from Hopedale, Illinois, who have served alongside San Antonio Mennonite Church for 2 months every winter for the last 6 or 7 winters. And during the course of that time, they began to hear the stories of asylum seekers that were receiving hospitality at the church. And upon returning home each spring, they would share these stories with their home congregation. So this exchange of storytelling resulted in Mark and Jeannie's congregation, Hopedale Mennonite Church, sponsoring and welcoming an asylum seeker and her 10-year-old daughter into their community and their church. They provided support such as housing, ESL classes, transportation, all kinds of things. So Mark and Jeannie's openness to learning through their soup experience and from their local hosts broadened their perspectives, resulting in a broadening of perspectives in their home community as well. Such a great example of how relationships and sharing stories can have a ripple effect. So while much about soup remains the same from its beginnings, much has also changed. Due to the flexible nature of soup, we've been able to adapt over the years to a broader range of requests for service assignments. For example, this group of 6 men first met and became lifelong friends at Bethel College in Kansas. To mark their 30th anniversary from college, they spent a week traveling together and serving for several days through soup. What a great way to celebrate long-term friendships. I also think of Matt and Katrina Everly and their family, who have served together the past couple of summers. While at Camp Deer Park, Matt prayed for future campers as he wielded his chainsaw, his weed eater, and machete to clear trails. Working side by side with their father, the children followed his example. Katrina said, as they spread out bark moss in the children's forest, they prayed over the trees and asked God to use their rakes and shovels to impact someone else's life. I just love how this family soup assignment became so much more than just about work, but also an opportunity to stir up faith. Circling back to soup milestones, I want to give a shout out to John and Kay Reimer, who have 21 soup assignments under their belt, and Walter and Lorene Good, who are right behind them with 17 assignments. Walter and Lorene have recently retired from soup, but we're grateful for their many years of service in Tucson. And finally, last week, I received this note from some recent supers, and it kind of encapsulated for me the essence of SOUP. First, they thanked us for connecting them to their assignment at Koinonia Farms and for the help in getting their week set up there. We also want to thank you for this program that is a huge blessing to us. Koinonia was a wonderful experience with new friendships made, and hopefully we encouraged the staff there as they greatly impacted our lives. The work we did seems small compared with the relationships that we developed. And for me, that's what SOUP is about. Thank you.
Arloa, that was so great to hear about SOUP and the volunteers that have helped with that. My name is Marisa Smucker, and I am the Senior Executive for Ventures Division. This division hosts one of our departments called Global Partnerships, where these programs for mission and service are located in the Mennonite Mission Network organization. So the next person that we're going to hear from is one of our newest staff members, Naomi Leary. We are so glad to have you join us. Naomi is the Regional Co-Administrator for North America. So she does the co-administration with Arloa, but for longer term service, for Mennonite Voluntary Service and Service Adventure. Naomi?
Hello. I am excited to be with Mission Network and excited to be here with all of the alumni. I am an alum, just like you all. I participated in Service Adventure in Anchorage, Alaska. And many of my friends participated in MVS. I, after college, did a little tour of the MVS units visiting. When I think about why I participated in long-term service, I remembered that I wanted to be part of the church, of the community of God in a new way. And I'm really excited to work with these programs and partner with these people and all of these alums to do this work, to provide experiences for more young people, and ultimately excited to do the work to help the church and the community of God grow and to help these young people find their place in this community. So I'm going to hand it off to our acting administrators for MVS, that's Tanya, and for Service Adventure, that's Lauren. So I'll hand it off to Tanya first.
All right, thanks, Naomi. I'm excited this evening to share a little bit about what's going on in MVS. So if we can have the MVS slideshow up here. Mennonite Voluntary Service has been around since 1944 and has provided opportunities for 8,951 people to serve across the US and Canada, including myself and both of my parents. Over the years, we've had MVS units in 309 locations. As many things have, MVS has shifted and changed with time. In fact, we might consider the current MVS program about MVS 10.2. But even though some parts of the program have changed, there are three foundations of the program that are still present today and remain vital to the MVS experience. And those are living in a shared household community, connecting with a local supporting congregation, and serving the broader community through a local placement agency. And I could tell you all about those things, but I think the MVSers and local leaders can say it better than I can. So let's take a listen to what Annalie North Martin had to say about her household community last year in Washington, D.C.
One of the things that surprised me most about MVS was how quickly my housemates and I became a community and really came to support each other and rely on each other, especially during COVID when community was kind of hard to find. They were there for me, and I really appreciated that. And it was just a really nice surprise.
Joanna Lawrence Shank serves as Associate Pastor at First Mennonite Church of San Francisco and also as the MVS local leader for that unit. And she says, at First Mennonite Church of San Francisco, we have been so blessed by the MVS program over the years. I notice a healthy dynamic between the household and congregation that is a two-way street. The congregation does so much to care for the household on many levels, which leads to a strong connection and willingness from the MVSers to participate. Twice throughout the year, the MVSers lead the Sunday morning service. They also serve as greeters one Sunday a month, and often will join church committees during their time in MVS. Over the years, many MVSers have chosen to stay in the Bay Area and have remained connected to the congregation. This has been a gift and a source of ongoing vitality for us. And Sabrina Beller also served in the DC MVS unit last year. So let's hear what she had to say about her placement agency, Joseph's House.
My favorite thing about my MVS placement is how much of a home it has become for me. Joseph's House has created such a beautiful community between the residents and the community members and former residents and staff and volunteers through eating meals together and having karaoke parties and just supporting each other. And that's where real healing happens.
What a privilege it is to watch these connections happen and to be just a small part of these stories. We currently have MVS partnerships in San Francisco, Chicago, Alamosa, Colorado, Tucson, Arizona, and Ay Bonito, Puerto Rico. And we look forward to how MVS will continue to move into the future. Polly Carlson is a current MVSer in her second year in San Francisco, and she said, MVS has greatly impacted my life. This experience has transformed me and made me see myself and the world in new ways that will change how I approach life after my time in MVS concludes. What I thought would be a quick one-year challenge of being far away from my home and community while serving at a placement with no pay has now turned into staying a second year and thriving within a new community. This is why we do what we do. We are excited to continue to provide opportunities for both volunteers and their host communities to be blessed by each other. So next, we'll turn it over to Laura Nesh Hirschberger to share about Service Adventure.
Hello. So I am actually an alumni of Service Adventure, and my year was impactful enough that I later became a leader with my husband so I could stay involved in this life-changing program. And that was in Albany, Oregon. So now I work at the office to recruit and interview, and for this last year, help administer the Service Adventure program. So Service Adventure started back in 1989, not 18, 1989, and has had units in 16 different locations in the US. There have been nearly 1,000 participants, and today we have units in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Anchorage, Alaska, Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Jackson, Mississippi, and Colorado Springs, Colorado. So this year, we'll actually have many new leaders who are starting, and we need one more for Jackson, Mississippi. So tap some shoulders if you know anybody who would be interested. I'd like to end by playing a clip from the 2008-9 Albany, Oregon unit. And I love this clip because they just communicate the impact of a year so well. And I hope that their reflection sparks memories of your own service experience, even if it's not Service Adventure, and inspires you to encourage other people to apply as well. Go ahead and play.
I'd already been in a space of like asking a lot of questions about my faith and trying to figure things out. But Kurt and Karen created a space intentionally for like they encouraged us to ask questions and to pull everything apart that we had ever been taught in a good way, you know, to really like decide what we wanted to keep and what we wanted to not keep. And so my memory of that year is like feeling really free for the first time to really explore what I thought, not what my parents had wanted me to believe.
Great opportunity to explore faith and kind of like a social justice awakening for myself. I just became way more aware of a variety of issues that I had never really thought about before. Issues of like discrimination and oppression, especially within the church. And I think that's where it kind of started for me. That year was really foundational, and then I carried that through in college and things that I've done afterwards as well. So really appreciated that foundation. For me, it was also helpful like career-wise, because at the time I was interested in nursing, and so being trained as a CNA gave me an opportunity to practice something in the medical field and figure out more if that's something that I really wanted to pursue.
Like one of the biggest takeaways for me was like this experience of living in intergenerational community. That's something that I really loved about my experience in the Mennonite church in general. My family started going to a Mennonite church when I was 12. And I got to have these relationships with adults who were like not my parents or trying to be my parents, who were like super solid and there for me as adults, but who also like had just like so much more space for a real relationship with me as like a burgeoning 18-year-old. And honestly, I don't remember what we talked about in faith nights. Like it's somewhere far, far away in my memory, but just like the space that Kurt and Karen held for us, never like seeming disappointed in where we were at, and always just like encouraging us on was a really cool part of my experience.
Oh, it looks like I'm back on. Oh, Karen. All right, great. Thanks, Lauren, for that segue. And I'd like to bring back Arloa, the true joy, to talk this time about Youth Venture. Arloa, take it away.
Thank you for introducing me again, Will. So I'm going to talk about Youth Venture. Since 1986, Youth Venture has played an important role in connecting more than 1,000 youth with Mennonite Mission Network partners and places of ministry around the world. In these short 1 to 2 week trips, youth have been challenged to gain a broader understanding and respect for their cultures and customs, to learn from faith communities around the world, and challenged to a long-term commitment to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. So prior to the pandemic, many of these trips were visits to our international partners, incredible times of learning and relationship building, but the pandemic and travel restrictions forced and gave us the opportunity to think about these experiential learning trips in a new way. So instead of focusing on what we couldn't do, it was exciting to brainstorm about what we could do. And out of that came the passion for providing learning tours within the US, beginning with a civil rights trip last summer, and this year partnering with Eastern Mennonite School on a civil rights trip this spring. And then this summer, we are again offering another civil rights trip, possibly two, and a Borderlands learning trip to Southern Arizona. So just a few weeks ago, actually from March 30 to April 5, a group of students from Eastern Mennonite School participated in a civil rights trip in Alabama and Mississippi, visiting museums, hearing firsthand stories from people, for example, who were children when they marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday, enjoying a meal with Choctaw women and youth from the Nanawaya Indian Mennonite Church in Mississippi, and being confronted with the painful story of the Freedom Summer murders in Mississippi as well, and much more. So I've asked Maria Archer, who is the K-8 principal at Eastern Mennonite School and one of the leaders on the trip, to share some reflections about, from her perspective, about the trip, especially since it's been so recent and so fresh in all of our minds. So Maria, we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Arlo, and thank you for inviting me this evening to share a little bit about our experience. So we took 10 freshmen and sophomores on this civil rights trip, along with Scott Hartman, who joined us from Mennonite Mission Network, and Andrea Wanger and her husband came along as our driver. And we have been processing this trip for a couple of weeks now, and gave our students a survey. They actually shared in our chapel recently. And the two themes that I keep hearing from them are, one, the people that they met while they were there. The way our trip was crafted, we really got to meet some very interesting people. We went to a number of wonderful museums as well and memorials, but meeting the people who had actually lived through some of this decade of the 60s in particular, our students just found very valuable to hear Joanne Bland talk about walking across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I think she would have been about 12 or 13 at the time. Hearing one of the guides at the 16th Street Baptist Church talk about dropping off his sister to church and then going to work, and then the church being bombed, and hearing Gerald Hudson talk about what it was like to grow up in Meridian, and Leroy Clemens talking about the 3 civil rights workers who were killed and the ways in which he helped to bring some justice by having Mr. Killen finally go to prison for being a part of that. All of these stories, meeting the people, I think was very powerful for these students. It's one thing to go to a museum and read about what happened, but it's another thing to talk about people who lived through it. So that was one theme that we heard. The second theme was, and we heard this from multiple people, they heard this from multiple people, that you are speaking to those students. Your generation is part of the solution to this problem of prejudice and racism. Your generation will be a piece of the puzzle. Each of you will be a piece of the puzzle. And this was a very hopeful message for them. It can be daunting as well, but I think it was very empowering for them to know that they can be a part of this. It's interesting, when we take these experiential learning trips, we always try to have a piece of service to that. And we didn't do your typical service during this trip, but we decided afterwards that listening to people's stories was our service, and sitting back and hearing what they had to teach us. I had a specific connection to this trip. I was actually born in Meridian, Mississippi, and my parents actually started a voluntary service unit in Meridian, Titus and Ann Bender, in 1958. And so this was a place where a lot of people did, men did 2 years their 1W service in lieu of being in the military. So to hear you all be talking about voluntary service, it was, yeah, I have a lot of memories of that growing up in that environment. So for me, it was going home and meeting a lot of people that I had not seen or talked to for a long time. Partnering with Network was Mennonite Mission Network was very, very important for us, because we didn't have to do the planning. We just sat in on the meetings to hear about the planning and to talk about, to contribute to how things were going to go. And then along the way, Scott was our connection, and he would make calls if things needed to change. And that left Andrea and me there to be able to connect with students, take care of them, process with them the things. It was a pretty heavy trip, process with them things that they were thinking about and wanting to talk about. And so it was a perfect match for us. It met the needs of our experiential learning week, but it also meant it was easier for us to concentrate on taking care of students. So we very much appreciated Arloa planning this and Scott for going on the trip.
part of our mission at Eastern Mennonite School, part of our vision is for students to find a sense of belonging, to thrive, and to live God's call. And I think this was part of helping them to live into the vision of our school. So again, we really are very fortunate to have this partnership, and we hope that this happens again in the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Maria. It was really, like you said, a perfect partnership, and we each brought our particular gifts to it to make it a really meaningful experience. So, all right, that's all I have for Youth Venture.
All right, thanks, Arloa. Next up, we'd like to introduce Joe Sawatsky, who's a training and resource specialist for mission education. Joe, take it away.
Thanks, Will. And greetings to everyone in the name of Christ. I'm here as a international ministries alum. And we have a long history at Mennonite Mission Network going back to the late 19th century of sending workers all over the world. And there's a long line of alumni, and I am just one of those. I have a personal history in my family. I grew up knowing that my aunt and uncle, Sheldon and Marietta Sawatsky, served with one of our predecessor agencies to build the church in Taiwan, and they dedicated their lives to that work. And I grew up as a kid knowing that. And then I married into a missionary family also. My wife, Anna, grew up as the daughter of Mennonite missionaries with one of our predecessor agencies in Ireland, working in God's reconciling mission in that country. And that all led to me and Anna ourselves wanting to become international workers with Mennonite Mission Network. And we ourselves became that in 2006 when we went to South Africa. Anna and I served there from 2006 through 2014 with Mennonite Mission Network, working in biblical and theological education with African initiated churches, fulfilling a lifelong calling of mine to tell the old story of Jesus and his love, and to teach God's story and to learn about how others experience God in their context. And so all of this leads me even to the place where I am right now, working as a training and resources specialist in mission education for Mennonite Mission Network. And as part of that role, I also get to partner with one of our partners just across the parking lot to us in Elkhart here, Anabaptist Mennonite Biblical Seminary, who are now receiving more international students than they have at any other time in their history. And we have a golden opportunity right in front of us to work together in global Anabaptist leadership, missional leadership education. And we are involved in new initiatives in many parts of the world, including Ethiopia, Ghana, Korea, Indonesia, Kenya, various stages of conversation and movement toward educational partnerships. And so I've been shaped by an alumni. I've been shaped by alumni. I'm now an alum. I continue the work of God's mission. And when I think of alumni, I think of legacy. And when I think of legacy, I think of Psalm 16, verse 6, which is kind of a personal testimony for me. And it says, "The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. I have a goodly heritage." And so I just want to thank all of the alumni out there for the way you pass on the faith to generations who then take the faith forward into their generation and all across the world. Amen.
Amen. I am in agreement, Joe. Thank you so much for that testimony. The next person who will be speaking is Eric Fry Martin. Eric Fry Martin is our constituent engagement rep, one of them. And he's going to talk a little bit about what it means to be in the making of alumni. Eric, I'm really curious about this.
Thanks, Marisa, and it's good to be with you all this evening. As part of my role as a constituency engagement rep, I talk to people, youth and adults all across the church and in different settings about the programs we offer, some of which you've heard here tonight, and the opportunities for service that we have through Mennonite Mission Network. But I also, while I carry all that knowledge of our programs with me, I also carry with me my own experience of being an alumni of international ministries where my wife and I served in Colombia. And so I know that when I'm talking to people, I can talk well about MVS and Service Adventure and the programs that we have, but I know I talk best when I talk about my own experience. And so one of the things I want to challenge you all with is to say that as we think about inviting more people into the opportunities that we have here at Mennonite Mission Network, you guys are our best recruiters. You guys are the best people to go out and talk about your experiences and how those were life-changing and how those are continuing to impact you and impact your life. We know that as alumni of these service programs, it's not something in which we participated in for a while and then we left, but rather it's something we participated in and it continues to work in us and change us as we go throughout our lives. Just this evening, my wife and I got together with some new friends. We had a baby. We both had babies at similar times, and we decided to get together for our babies to meet. And they asked us, how did you guys meet? And we told them our story. And then we asked, well, how did you guys meet? And they said, well, we were both in this program called MVS in San Antonio. Do you know MVS? And I said, I do actually know MVS. And so while I suspect that there are probably other stories of couples who have met during their terms of service, but that's just one little way in which these times of service impact our lives going forward. But we know that they impact our lives in so many different ways, and whether it be vocation or just a new understanding of what God is doing in the world. And so, of course, we don't go through these programs just to become alumni of Mennonite Mission Network, although that is such a prestigious title, but we do them to join in the work that God is doing in the world. And that, of course, never stops for us as followers of Christ. And so, again, as you think about the communities that you live in, the church community that you're part of, be thinking about who in your midst could be ripe for service, and perhaps encourage them to take a look at Mennonite Mission Network and the programs that we offer, as you've heard from youth on up, to take a look to see how they could join in the work that God is doing across the street and around the world. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Eric, for that. And thank you to everybody and all the participants. Wow. You know, when you just stop for a moment and think about this, that from the mid 1940s up to today, 2022, people have been serving God in these various volunteer programs, and that the impact on their lives and on the lives of their churches and of their families and of all people that they deal with in their lives has an impact that just keeps rippling out. What a moment of celebration. What a wonderful thing to think about and to revel in and just to thank God for. So we at Mennonite Mission Network, and you are also Mennonite Mission Network. We want to hear from you. So I think we have a slide that can go up. Please visit our webpage. We have a whole page, a whole section that is dedicated to alumni. And twice a year, in April and October, we send out a newsletter highlighting stories of alumni, highlighting gatherings and get-togethers. And that's one thing that we really want to hear from you. If you know of a gathering of alumni, please let us know, because we want to know how that's all coming together. If you'd like us to come and be part of that, or you would like us to speak or Zoom in with you, we would love to do that. So we need that information. We seek that information, and please share with us, because we know several groups that have stayed together in connection through the years, and we would really like to know that. So come be part of that and get on MennoniteMission.net, and you will find all kinds of information about what we're doing and what each other is doing, and become a prayer partner. We always use prayer. We can always use prayer for each other, and serve with us again. Maybe you started at Youth Venture, and now maybe you're more in the soup category, where I find myself unbelievably. So there you are. So you can serve anywhere, and I should say in any time in your life. There's always a door open for you, and we would love to see you again. And tap those people on the shoulder that you think would really enjoy becoming part, as Eric said, of that prestigious group of alumni for Mennonite Mission Network. You are our best recruiters, and you are living proof of the wonderful love that God has for us and what it means to be a servant in his world. So thank you for being with us. Stay in touch with us. And now, Mike, I'm going to ask you to bring us home.
Thanks, Karen. I'm just delighted to be with everyone tonight, and I'm honored to be counted an alum among you. My country of service was Japan, and it's a joy to be an alum of Mennonite Mission Network. And you know, it's impossible to overemphasize the enormous impact of alumni on mission work. Mennonite Mission Network alumni have forged an inspiring legacy for others to follow. And we want to continue bringing more and more people into the experience of impacting the world with God's active love. Alumni are a vital part of this work. Mission Network takes seriously the call of Jesus at the end of Matthew chapter 9. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest to send more workers into his harvest field. Let's engage the world with love. Come build the future with us through action and prayer. Ask the Lord of the harvest to send more workers across the street and around the world. Your participation and prayers and financial support put the wheels in motion. Mission Network has designated April 26th, a week from today, as Giving Forward Alumni Day of Giving, a special opportunity for alumni to express financial support for the programs at Mission Network. God is doing a new thing in the world. How is God calling you or someone you know to be a part of it? Discipleship, service, international partnership? Mission Network is here for you. We are all pilgrims on a sacred journey. Let's discover together God's urgent call on each of us and on our church. Thank you so much for considering a gift to Mission Network. Your financial support helps bring these opportunities for service to the next generation. Thanks again for being here tonight, and the Lord's generous grace and peace be your daily companion. Thank you.
Thank you. From Ventures and Mennonite Mission Network.
Thank you. From MVS.
Thank you from Soup and from Youth Venture, and from Mennonite Mission Network.
Thank you from Service Adventure and Mennonite Mission Network.
Thank you from International Ministries or Global Partnership Engagement from Mennonite Mission Network.
Thank you from Advancement and Mennonite Mission Network.
Thank you from Constituency Engagement and Mennonite Mission Network.
Thank you from Mennonite Mission Network. And Mike, you have the last word.
Thank you to everyone tonight for all of your very encouraging words and your fellowship, and to all those who are joining us tonight, Lord. My prayers are with you, and Lord's grace and peace be with you and go through you. And thank you again from Mennonite Mission Network. God bless you.
Good night.